A very warm welcome on this cold morning from Holland. I want to special give a welcome to our UK customers en natuurlijk ook onze Nederlandse klanten. Hartelijk welkom op dit live webinar. I am Alfred van Duren, CEO of HB Software. Next to me is Marcel de Winter, the Senior Architect of SmartRate. And from London, Gary Griffin is participating and also presenting Advantage because Advantage is our UK partner. Today, when you have some questions, you can put them in the chat. When you have trouble with the sound or the visuals, please let us know in the chat, because it's very important that you can see everything very well and hear very well. These are the subjects of today we want to cover, and for us it's really important to show you the new features of SmartRate, but also give some arguments for the SaaS and on-premises discussion. Many customers of us are thinking about going to the cloud. SmartRate is ready for the cloud, so this is a new option that's open for you, because Microsoft, and that's really the first point you see, has made a completely new product based on Microsoft Dynamics NAV, which most of our customers are having now, and it's very known in the market, NAV, and it's called Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. So that's the topic I want to cover first. Then the arguments against or for SaaS or on-premises. Why should you choose SmartRate? Most of our customers already did, but there are some new interested people that maybe want to know why is such a good product. And Gary Griffin is going to introduce Advantage for you. Last but certainly not least, Marcel is going to demo SmartRate, a live demo, and it will be very interesting. So I would advise, please wait until this, because we changed a lot on SmartRate. First of all, it's important to know that Microsoft has taken a complete new view on how to build applications. And the essential of this view is Microsoft has Azure as a platform, infrastructure platform, which performs all the infrastructural work on servers, virtual services, etc. And on that, everything is an app. So Business Central is an app, Office 365 is an app, LinkedIn, Flow, etc., etc. And the beauty of it all is that you can easily integrate all those apps together. And on the on-premise world, that was quite a burden to do, but in the cloud, it's very easy to do. Later on, I will give you some more information on what are more specific features of the cloud, but it's very important to realize that the ecosystem Microsoft has built is unique in the marketplace. It's unique because it's all integrated. It's unique because the model behind it is different. It's paying per month per user, and it's also unique because you once use your data and you can use it for every other app in this ecosystem. And you can easily scale up and scale down, and you can also make modifications. The strong point NAV was known about. Make your own modifications so the application really fits your process. And this is now done in the cloud. Now, Business Central was introduced in 2018. As you can see, I have in this table, you see some figures since 2019. You all know the first version of Microsoft isn't the best one, so that's why 2018 is not reported, but it really took off in 2019, and I yellow marked the stunning figures, the number of customers that are on Business Central online. That's not the on-premise version, but the online version now are 20,000 already in the cloud of Microsoft with Business Central. So that's a huge staggering growth from 2019 on. Still, you have to realize most customers are still on premises. So more than 2,000 organizations still use NAV on premises or Business Central on premises. Microsoft has still the strategy that they deliver on premises and in the cloud with a strong push for the cloud, I must say. But all our customers can still think what they want to do, cloud or on premises. I want to discuss some characteristics of the on-premises or hosted implementations versus the SaaS implementation. And I yellow marked the most important thing, that's SaaS is always on the latest version. And that's very important because we know all an ERP project is a big effort. So what everybody does, we do the implementation and we are happy that the system is implemented. We take a rest for 5 or 6 years and then we take a deep breath and do the next implementation. And then we are going to rest for another 5 years. Well, that's not in the cloud possible because the new versions are really enforced. You go with the flow of Microsoft. That has one advantage: you are always on the latest version, and that's of course what you want, because in the latest version, the latest updates are there on security, the latest functionality is there, so you want to be on the latest version. On the other hand, your organization has to get accustomed not to the big leaps once in a 5 year, but in the small steps during the year. And once you have installed that, when you have that in place in your organization, you'll be happy. When you don't do that, then the new updates will be enforced, and you will be surprised what's in it. Still, modifications are possible in the cloud. Still, new applications are possible in the cloud through AppSource. SmartRate is now an AppSource, so you can install from AppSource SmartRate on your Business Central tenant. The third thing I want to mention is the integration with all the apps. The slide before this one, you saw it's one ecosystem, and it's really true. The ecosystem helps you to integrate. Some other key differences between on-premises, hosted, or SaaS. As I already told you, you have a paying per month and per user model. So you don't have the big investments beforehand, and then after this investment, you can benefit from the implementation and take your benefits from it. It's more in sync in the cloud. It's easier to have your own sandbox. Je eigen zandbak waar je lekker in kunt spelen. That's a very easy setup in the cloud. The responsibility of Microsoft is much bigger. They take responsibility for the backups. They take responsibility for the server. You don't have to have your own server anymore. And let's think about security. Microsoft is world class on this part. And every company nowadays have to have its links to the internet. And the internet is, of course, a huge opportunity, but it's also a source of danger. And you have to protect yourself against that. Microsoft has that very good in place. Of course, there's a limiting factor in the SaaS model, because you have to have a very good internet connection. When you don't have it, well, you can't reach the cloud and you're in trouble. And this is not the case in an on-premise situation. You have your own network and you can manage your own network, and also manage your performance on this network. There's a lot more to say about it, but these are the key points. Please consider it when you take this decision about going to the cloud or not. For the interested people who don't know SmartRate, SmartRate is a total solution for trading and distribution companies. When you want to know what your delivery times are, when you want to know what your margin per item is, and what your stock at hand is, SmartRate gives you the answer. Also, management can really make data-driven decisions. It's a kind of abstract term, but Marcel is going to show you what it means. Of course, you can make analysis of what kind of product groups deliver the most margin, the percentage delivery as promised, can I grow, and is my operation efficient? All this analysis can be made because you have one data stack and everything is there. You only have to retrieve it and analyze it. The new version of SmartTrade, we worked 2 years on this new version to get it completely validated by Microsoft, and we decided to make 2 options. Marcel will explain you the two options. It's the essential and the premium option, and the beauty of it all, you can switch on the functionality you want. So that means no extra information on the screens. It's simpler, it's more adequate for a specific user. We also elaborated the help functionality, and the code is verified by Microsoft. So SmartTrade delivers you less clicks, more control over margin and delivery, and it gives you the data to improve your business. Now I want to give Gary the floor, because he is responsible for the dynamics part of Advantage, and he is going to introduce Advantage to you.
Based consulting service where we partner with companies like HB SmartTrade to ensure that we can offer best of breed solutions to fit the needs of our customers. Our head office is based in London, and we've delivered and supported around 350 companies across the UK, Europe, and US. All of the above mentioned, we do believe that we are big enough to deliver, but small enough to care about each individual customer. And therefore, we are confident that our value proposition transcends a lot of what you would otherwise see in the market today. So once again, thank you for joining today. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Marcel.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, first of all, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining this webinar. My name is Marcel de Winter. I'm the solution architect for SmartTrade for, well, I think the last 10 years, maybe even a bit more. I was told that I had about 15 minutes to demo this product. I'm very happy to be able to do the demonstration of the cloud version of SmartTrade. And from this moment on, I have exactly 15 minutes. So we're quite good on schedule at the moment. So thank you for that, Alfred. And Gary, of course. First of all, before I move into the demo of SmartTrade, I want to say that Business Central is an amazing product. Microsoft has done an incredible job moving its product from the old client to a role-tailored client, and further on to the web client, into the apps that we know at the moment. And we're really, really happy with that product. So you might think, why do we even need SmartTrade? Because Business Central itself is such a great product. Well, I'm going to explain to you what the added value of SmartTrade is. First of all, we added a lot of functionality to the standard product by adding pages, adding reports, and adding shortcuts that are required by our customers in order to be able to move smoothly through the product, find functionality more easy. But we also added a lot of basic functionality that are really needed by our customers. And we did that by dividing it into two areas. We have the essential area and we have a premium area. And you can see in the blocks underneath here what is in the essential and what is part of the premium area. We also have two separate apps next to SmartRate. We have a specific app for quality control and also one for EDI for your electronic order handling. I'm not going into detail with all the functionality here, but now it's the time to move it to the product. So I'm going to show you a bit of SmartRate in a sandbox environment. And a sandbox environment is, as Alfred already mentioned, it's like an environment where you can play around. You can request a sandbox environment from Microsoft. And then you can install any app you like. Of course, SmartRate would be the preferred one. And you can play around with SmartRate. So if I go to the SmartRate setup page in the application, you will see that this is a bit similar to what I just showed in the PowerPoint presentation. So here you have the user experience, which is divided into a essential area and a premium area. And you can turn on or turn off the different features that you see in here. So for instance, if I want to use the customs module, I can enable it in here. And I get the question if I want to enable this for every user in the company. Well, I'm going to say no. This means that, for instance, you can turn off your customs module for your organization. But if there are certain users in your organization that do not use that functionality, you can turn it off for them. And that means that they're not overwhelmed by all the functionality that is in all the pages. So it just makes life a bit easier for users and the customers that buy SmartRate can turn or turn off all the features that you see in here. So Alfred already mentioned that as soon as you go to the cloud environment, you get a very smooth integration with all the Microsoft products. So if I click on the dots in the left part of my screen, you can see in here as well that I'm directly linked to all the Microsoft apps. So you can link Business Central with Teams. You can link it with Power Automate, with Power BI, with your to-dos. Doesn't really matter. All the connectors are in place as soon as you move to the cloud. And you might think, well, okay, that's going to be hard to implement this one or to install SmartRate. Let me show you how to install SmartRate in a sandbox environment. I'm going to the tell me what you want to do function in Business Central. And in here, if I type in SmartRate, you will see first all the SmartRate pages that are already installed at the moment. But here you can see Get from Microsoft App Source. And if I click on that page, it will guide me through a setup, and I can click on a free trial. And if I do that, SmartRate will be installed in your sandbox environment. That's it. There's nothing more to it. We also have a product called Action, probably known with a lot of people. If I want to install Action, I just type in Action. Microsoft will guide me to the app source, and from here I can go to the page where I can install Action in my Business Central environment. So when you do that, in the end, I go to the extensions that are installed in my application. I go to Extension Management. And here you see all the extensions that are installed in my application, in my Business Central environment. And in here you will find that SmartRate is now installed. If you no longer want to use SmartRate, you can of course just click on the functionality here and press uninstall and it's removed. It's the same as working with apps on your phone. It's as simple as that. So I'm gonna move back to my presentation now, because one thing that Alfred also mentioned in his presentation was that you get automatic updates from Microsoft. And maybe a bit of coincidence, but yesterday Microsoft decided to do another update. There was another version, 19.3 I think. And what we get now is we get a message from Microsoft, an email saying, well, within the next couple of days, you can update your online environment. And then you can decide to update that environment. You can just click on install now, or you can wait and select a moment that's more suitable for you as a company. That's all you have to do. If you don't do anything, you get an automatic update and your environment will be on the latest version. So for a more in detail scenario or presentation of SmartRate, I have a small supply chain scenario. In that scenario, let's assume that there's a customer called Adentum, and they want to get some information about two products, two chairs that are of course also in the demonstration environment, a 1972 Munich chair, a red one, and a 1980 Moscow chair. Both of the chairs are produced in China, and well, I'm going to show you how SmartRate can help you with the question that the customer has. The customer wants to know what I will have to pay for this item and what are the possible delivery dates. I think that's some questions that you get a lot, I hope. Well, first of all, if you are buying or selling goods from China, you know that China is a big country, so that's always a big challenge. And it makes a huge difference if you ship goods, for instance, from Dalian in the north of China, or from, what's it called, Shenzhen, which is in the south, because there's a huge difference between the two. China is so big that it takes a ship normally about 6 days to travel from north to south. So selecting the correct exit point is, and being able to provide correct dates to your customer is of course really important, and it depends a lot on where the goods come from. Well, Standard Business Central can of course assist you a little bit. In Standard Business Central you have lead time fields on an item level, you also have lead time fields on an item vendor level, and you have some times for warehousing and for shipping to the customer. But if you install SmartRate, then you get a lot of extra functionality. So in here, I highlight the SmartRate Advanced Planning and SmartRate Transport module. And you can see that in the SmartRate Advanced Planning, you get a lot of additional fields. For instance, for quality approval time, for shipping time to a ship to address, handling time, manufacturing time, all variables that we can have as an input in our system. And if we also implement or activate the transport module, you can see that we can add transport routes, transport time, transport prices, and a lot of additional features that are not standard in Business Central. And for instance, the last one, also familiar for most companies, are the Incoterms. I have a sheet of well, probably well known, of the Incoterms. You can, of course, work with Incoterms in Standard Business Central, but they're also quite limited. So you can have the seller in here, so you can buy it from a certain vendor in China, for instance. Then you can use some of the date variables to calculate when it will be available in your warehouse. And then finally, you can calculate the dates when it will be available at your customer. But if you add SmartRate, you can, of course, you have the same variables, but we add a lot of different data points in the system. So you can have times for transferring it to the ship, or transfer time between two harbors, and you get a lot more detailed information. So I have 5 minutes left, and I think that's just about enough time to move into the availability of the demo of the availability. So again, I'm going to move to SmartRate. It opens up in a new window. And what I've prepared in this demonstration is a sales quote. We mentioned the sales quote for the Adentum Corporation. You can see that sales quote over here. And if I open the sales quote, you will see that if I move down a little bit here, you can see that here are the two items that were requested by the customer. So you have your two chairs in here. And of course, it's always nice to have a requested delivery date. So the customer wants to know, are you able to ship the goods to me, and are they available on the 5th of March 2022? Well, to be able to answer that question, we have added a functionality called Calculate and Plan. And if I activate that function, it opens up another page. And this it is a page with a lot of information. But let me talk you through it and help you to be able to understand what you're seeing here. You can see that the first item, it has a preferred vendor, and that is the first line that you see. And your preferred vendor, it's a vendor also in China. His preferred transport method is over sea. And if you would select this one, which is your standard way of purchasing items, you can see that you're not able to make the requested delivery date. Because it takes a lot of time to get the goods from China into here to your shipping address. You can see that your promised delivery date, the earliest one, is the 12th of April. So that's not going to work for the customer. So then you can see on the second line, you're also able to switch to a different transport method. You can ship the goods from by air. But if you do that, you can see here all the way to the right that if you do that, your margin will drop from 8% to -4%. So if you would be doing that, you need to do something about your unit price. So the unit price of 180 would not be a good option for you. So you need to change that one to, let's say, 225 or something like that. Then your margin would be better. So you could promise the customer, well, okay, I can do it. You can have it in-house on the 5th of March, but it will cost you 225 euros in this case. The third option would be your non-preferred supplier, so another supplier. And as I can see here, he would be able to deliver the goods on the 9th of March if you do that, if you select that one. But then again, your margin is not as high. You only have a margin of 4%, which might not be enough for you or for your product group that you're working on. The information that you're seeing in the bottom part of your screen is your expected cost. We're using the costing module of SmartRate there. And that module shows you all the available all the expected costs for this transaction. So if I click on the first line, you will see that it calculates your sea freight, it calculates your import duties, it calculates sales freight to your customer. And on the second line, you can see that it calculates with air freight, which of course ends up in higher cost than if you would do that over sea. We can go even further. So to the right, you have a fact box telling you all about the calculation of your earliest delivery week. But I can also show more details. And then you get on the right part of your screen all the variables that are used for calculating the planned delivery date to the customer. So you can see that it takes into account the time to exit point. It gives you an estimated time of departure. And from there on, all the way, it shows you all the variables for your planned delivery date. For the second item, and I see that I have just about 40 seconds left, it would be interesting to drill down a little bit into the availability by event. Okay, I'm just hearing that we have a little bit more time, so that's good. I'm going to drill down into the item availability by event. Excuse me for my bad English. And if I look into detail into this item, I can see that there's already a purchase order with the vendor called Chinese Supplies. And I can also see that my transport department has linked this one to a transport code, which is like a ship or a truck or something like that. And if I drill down or click on the transport code, it will show me the Ever Given, probably a well-known ship for everyone. And it will tell you exactly where that ship is currently in the sea. I think it's, well, not very good in this, but I think it's somewhere in China as well. So you can follow the ship and follow the last known details of the ship, and that will give you a little bit more detail into your the dates that are in the system. So I'm going to switch back again to my PowerPoint. And this is what we touched in the demo. So we touched a little bit of our cost calculation. I just showed you that all the costs are calculated automatically in the system. I also showed you a bit of the advanced planning module and, of course, a little bit of our transport module. As you can see in here, we have a lot of additional features that we didn't touch yet. And my experience is that all our customers use different parts of our system. So if you want to know more about all the individual modules that are available, of course, feel free to contact us about that. And I think with that, we have come to our last sheet of this webinar, and that is, you can find information here about how to contact us. You can, of course, reach us on our website. There's an email address in here as well. And we have a specific site for HB Smart Trades, www.hbsmarttrade.com. And of course, there's also the option to call us. And for now, I think that if there are any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or, just show yourself, raise your hand. Or,
you can also ask questions live. So put on your microphone and start talking. No problem. Feel free to enter the conversation. Is there somebody who wants to ask a question? I don't see them appearing right now. Maybe I can ask a question to Marcel.
Sure.
You showed us some new functionality of SmartTrade or existing functionality in a new kind of Business Central. What was it hard to do this? What was it? How was it the transition technically spoken? Are there big differences between the old NAV and the new Business Central?
Yes, there are big differences because, a couple of years ago we were used to making changes in the core functionality of Microsoft. So every change that we made had to be done or a lot of changes had to be done in the kernel of Microsoft. And that is the most important thing that has changed over the couple of years. So we're now no longer making changes in the Microsoft kernel. We're creating an app that's built on top of the Microsoft kernel. And of course, we needed to translate that app from the previous C-side environment, it's a bit technical, to an AL environment. And we have to change our way of thinking. We're now thinking in apps, and we're thinking of integrating all the different Microsoft products together. And we're also going through a little bit of a change process. We're no longer thinking, how can we solve this inside Business Central, but we're more thinking like, how can we solve this problem? And do we need to use Business Central for the solution, or maybe we can use another solution like Power Automate, Power BI? So it's more like embracing more of the Microsoft platform.
Yes. Yeah. So the platform is the starting point of thinking, and not only Business Central or formerly NAV. When we thought, well, everything has to be solved within.
That's true.
I have also another question. It was one of the questions I had, and I can also imagine our customers or new customers has those questions as well. Because when it's the software is running on the Microsoft platform, and something goes wrong. For example, the performance of a page is very bad. My experience is when I call to Microsoft, nobody answers the phone. So I suppose that they will call HB Software. But how can we analyze this? Do we have still the tools to give support and analyze the problems in the software?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Because it's installed in the cloud now, you just have one version. You only have the latest version. All our customers have the latest version. But we are required by Microsoft to gather telemetry data since almost a year, I think. That means that we gather information about how long does it take to run a certain query, how long does it take to open a page, what is the best performing or the worst performing page in your system. And we get that information on a daily basis. So we gather a lot of information. We analyze that data and we use that to improve the slow running queries in the system.
Okay.
And of course that depends on the customer, it depends on the modules that they have activated.
Yeah.
But we monitor that on a daily basis, and we try to improve our product every
Okay.
day. That's what we're doing all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any participants leaving the call, so I just keep asking questions.
Sure.
Because do you already have some experience with analyzing a page and improve it? Is there?
Sure. But sometimes we get there was a page that performed quite poorly for a certain customer. And we analyzed that, and I think a better example is some reports. There were some reports that were custom made for a specific customer, and it turned out that the invoice took about a minute to print, and that was of course way too long. It was a large invoice, but anyway, it was way too long. And we got telemetry results from that report. We analyzed the report, and we found out that we were repeating the logo of the customer on each individual line. And the simple report was about 20 megabytes, or maybe 15 megabytes. So we analyzed that, and we made a small change in the report, and the report went from 50 megabytes to maybe a half megabyte, and performance went from a minute to about 3 or 4 seconds.
Okay.
Just by analyzing telemetry data. And I don't think the customer knew about that. We just found out without the customer complaining about performance.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a nice example. Okay. I think we've come to the end of this webinar. Thank you very much for the. I do see a question about the cost of smart trades. Of course, when you want some more details about cost and the license model behind the cloud, please contact us and we will give you the details. I can also say right now that Microsoft has a very interesting promo program. So when you're already an NAV or Business Central customer and you want to move to the cloud, you can change your maintenance fees into licenses for Business Central, and I think that is really depending on your situation. This would be very good to come to us, and we can analyze your situation, how much you pay now, and how much you're going to pay in the cloud. So that was really the last question. Thank you very much, everybody, for participating, and see you next time.
Okay, bye-bye.